Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a brand new week and a brand new episode of the Development Diaries. Just quick housekeeping. This will be our last episode for 2 weeks, and then we'll be back with another 2 weeks. That's because, there's a whole university project. We have a lovely university break for Easter in between. But if you come back, three weeks from now, we will have new episodes with our returning teams. But today we are joined again by As Right as Rain. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Pretty good,
Yeah. Okay, so just general housekeeping. Anyone that has not seen this before, does not know your game, what is your game?
Will, you get to do it this
Oh,
time.
okay. It's basically just trying to think of the words. Weather-based bullet hell where one player plays as the player and another player plays as the boss. So it's that asymmetrical playthrough type gameplay. And so
Nice. Good pitch.
Good pitch. Yeah, that makes sense. You've been narrowing it down each week. So, what is my game? Oh, well, it's sort of like this, and then by the end of it, now you should have a narrow.
Exactly.
This is what my game is.
Once the whole thing is done, we'll have a description for what
Yeah,
it is.
one word. Describe your game in one word. It is ah. But I guess yeah. So it's been 2 weeks. How has in general the last 2 weeks gone for you guys as a team?
We've entered post-production,
Yes.
and the moment we did, it broke.
Yeah.
We realized that we have just been putting band-aids on top of the open wound that is the issues in our project, and this week we finally took off the band-aid and we realized that it was infected.
Really, really infected.
Okay, all right. So give me a sort of insight. What sort of troubles have we come across?
The
Right.
player would suddenly gain invincibility
Oh my
at certain
God.
points. The player would suddenly lose the ability to fire at certain points.
Yeah.
The boss would sometimes lose cooldowns and just fire whenever it would want
Yeah.
to. It would crash.
We had a couple crashes, which is, I think that we didn't really run into that at all until like recently, until we decided that we should look at all the bugs and stuff, and then all of a sudden,
And those are just like the really big ones.
yeah, all of a sudden everything's a lot more obvious. Yeah.
Okay, fair. So what would is there any like particular one thing that sort of caused you to just put that bandage on and forget about it really? Is there like
We were in production, so it was like get stuff in, get stuff
Yeah,
in,
we were
work
just
on
trying to make
content.
as
And
much as
now we
possible.
have 5 weeks. Yes, 5 weeks. And then 2 weeks of Easter, which is iffy. So 5 weeks of post-production where we just polish. So we're in content lock. No more new content.
Yeah.
It's just adding like juice and like responding to playtesting feedback and fixing bugs.
Yeah, largely fixing things.
mostly fixing bugs? Yeah. So you've got your content locked, you've agreed upon everything, and now it's just so I assume you're doing like regular playtests now just to make sure everything's working.
We haven't gotten that set up yet, but it's something we should probably do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We were suggested to start doing daily builds. So just anytime you work on it, at the end of the day, make a build and then
Yeah.
push that out there.
Because I assume like any progress you make is progress at this point. It's not like you're adding new features or anything. It's
Yeah.
I assume you sit down in a day, you say I'm gonna work on this bug. Maybe you fix it, maybe you cause 3 more bugs,
Yeah.
but that's progress towards
Yeah.
what you're doing. It all
That's kind of what happened.
oh it has some bugs.
There's been some
Yeah.
multiplying.
Oh
Um,
no.
One single commit that you made a month and a half ago caused us so much pain yesterday.
Okay, I want to know about this.
There
A
was
long
a
time
very
ago.
there was a very sneaky commit that you made.
When I was working on the back end for the multiplayer system, it uses Unity's newer input system, and something you could do is set it up so that if you press a button on any controller, you could just join the game. I also made it so that you could have more than just 2 players, so you could set it up so that you'd have multiple on the player side or even multiple
Okay,
bosses.
that makes
Which-
sense. That's
yeah,
something a
sounds
game.
like-
That sounds like something a game would have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it
Okay.
sounds pretty reasonable on
That
paper.
sounds like something that wouldn't cause problems.
Yeah. No, I agree, and that's clearly what I thought a
Yeah,
month and a half
okay.
ago.
And then you forgot you made that change as
Then
well.
I forgot about that. We developed the game as though there were only going to be a single player and a single boss, and when we decided to, take a look at how multiple players could maybe work, they didn't work.
They did not
Um,
player would become invincible.
The player would be invincible. The two were linked in really weird, specific ways. A lot of scripts we made. We made singletons, which are there's only meant to be exactly one of them, and you
Okay.
can access it from anywhere. And if you have two players that depend on one thing, then you kind of get some weird cross interaction.
So was that sort of something that you as a team thought, okay, maybe we can look into adding more players? Or did you just think, hey, I'll do this one day?
It was okay. I added it in a pretty long time ago. I think everyone knew about it. Or at least I showed it off at least
Yeah,
once.
you showed it off, and then you forgot about it.
Then we've kind of
Yeah.
forgot about it.
Because multiplayer, it seems like one of those features where, like, for the concept, in the constraints of this project, you don't do multiplayer, but then you sort of look at, oh, if I want to keep going with this game and make it really cool, multiplayer could be a down the line feature.
Yeah,
That is exactly what we had it. It was
it was
we
going
had
to
we
be
had one versus one, and then in our high budget features, which in our pitch presentation, we said more than two
more
people,
multiplayer. Yeah,
more multiplayer basically.
but I've doomed everyone.
Doomed everyone. Okay, okay.
So
So how much has this sort of impacted day to day working on the project?
It was basically just those
This entire
days
sprint
ago,
has
right?
been pretty much fixing.
and that I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so that's sort of been like the overarching goal for the past like sprint or so, is it?
It's been fixing the
The fix-
show-stopping
yeah,
issues.
okay, okay.
big ones.
So has that sort of, I guess you sort of planned ahead of time, being in post production now and giving yourself that time in advance.
Yeah.
You gave yourself time to do this, so it doesn't.
it's
So
not
this isn't
too
going to
bad.
impact the rest of the schedule for the game.
Hopefully, yeah, this was our planned start of post-production.
Yeah. I think we've accounted for some considerable turbulence in the final stretch. So
Yeah,
We
no,
should be
yeah,
alright.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's definitely important to give yourself more time than you need because you never know
Yeah.
what could go wrong.
um,
If you've watched back any of these live streams, there is so much wrong. It's because we don't give ourselves enough time. We get here like a half hour before we're supposed to. It is not good. We should give ourselves way more time. But it's definitely important for that. It's good that you guys are doing that. And do you guys think you're still on track to make all of your other deadlines for this project?
I think so. I think on the visual side, everything's looking
Yeah.
really, really good.
The big one right
Um,
now is also like all the expo materials.
That's true. The other thing that's been kind of holding us up is collecting expo. There's like the poster
You need a poster and a stamp.
stamps.
So our artist has been working hard on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys are working on Expo. So I guess for the audience, Expo is a separate event we run here at the university, different to what this project is. So you guys are going to be showing off your game at Expo as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. we'd
Okay.
like
So what sort of extra workload has that put on you guys?
We had to set up an itch page anyway, but we're having to think about it now.
Yeah.
And it's mostly artwork. Like
Yeah. It's just a
um,
lot of.
So we've had to our artist this sprint has mostly been doing expo stuff rather than the game stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So what does how does that sort of process then of taking your project and getting it to a finished thing to show at Expo? What sort of steps does the university require you to do that?
I think beyond the expo art, I don't think there's a lot more. I think once our game is in a state where we can submit it for the actual project, it should be close enough to just like an expo ideal. I think the two deadlines are quite close to each other.
Expo is 1 week afterwards.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there
I
won't
mean,
be much of a difference
The
between.
deadline to submit the itch page is in a week, but you can
Right.
update the itch page afterward, and Expo is 1 week after the deadline.
Yeah,
And so then it'll just be a case of you submit your game, the university say, hey, yep, we'd love to show this off, and then
We've already got the headache. Yeah.
oh well, there we go then, yeah, and it's just sort of rolling the ball from there and then showing up on the day with your game.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And what sort of main takeaways are you hoping to get from showing off your game at Expo?
I haven't thought that far.
Did you just think, yeah, I'll do it? Okay, yeah.
There's industry people that come around on Friday, I believe. That'll be cool, just to see if there's any networking opportunities. It's always a good play test. Like
That's
some of
true.
us have been talking about working on this during the summer because we really enjoy working on this project. So it's just a really good time to play test and take notes on like what we could change.
Yeah, of course, that's great. If you like, obviously, this at the end of the day, you submit your project before Expo. You can just say, "Hey, I never want to see or talk to you guys ever again." But it's great that you guys have a game that you really enjoy and you want to keep working on and make it better, even past your initial submission. But I guess, would you guys like to show off your current iteration of your build then?
Ooh.
We're getting close to the date now. I'm hoping
you
to see
haven't
some
done it yet.
polished.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah, can do.
Yeah, true. YouTube.
Okay.
Face off.
We'll sit here and judge them.
Yeah, you can
Yep.
see how bad I am at playing
Yeah.
this game.
That's great.
Be,
Okay,
controller or keyboard.
I like
Probably should have loaded the game up beforehand. Would have been a good idea. Instead, we shall wait.
We shall wait. It won't take long. Look at that.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. The optimization in this game is
Huge.
phenomenal. Phenomenal. We can just, should we ready to switch over now? Okay, so have you updated that a bit there? That title
Yes.
screen?
So
Yeah.
pretty big improvement.
It's looking so much better, yeah.
Screen.
Yeah.
We've got updated UI here, I think.
Yep.
Last time
Oh,
we
well, yeah,
showed
because
off.
you just had like colored boxes before, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this has been updated.
I assume is it now impossible for multiple people to join?
No,
More than two?
No, four
No,
people
yeah.
can join.
Yes.
Oh, just don't.
There's some huge performance issues
Oh, okay.
with it
So,
right
so what's
now.
this menu I'm looking at?
So this
This is
is
a new one.
the weather phenomena menu. So this is like extra modifiers you can set for either player. It's sort of a way to handicap certain players if you think
Yeah, yeah.
one might be better or worse than the other. You
But
know,
also,
sort of-
I guess it also just creates for replayability and
Yeah,
and
and that
changes
too.
the game up each time. Yeah. Okay. So are we going for anything specific here? Or are we just going for the base?
Just
I
base.
think we might be going standard.
Ah,
It is definitely a work in progress, that menu.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay. Oh, so has that border changed around the outline?
Yes.
Yeah.
So a fresh tile set from our artist.
What's the map in the background there?
It's just some new art in the background, really. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, I see the pylons have a health bar now to make them a lot more
Yeah, a little bit obvious.
obvious that you have to kill them. Yeah. Oh, and having the boss have indicators of
Yes, that was
their
one of the,
controls, yeah. It also, I guess, just
one of the
frees
big
up.
things.
Yeah, 'cause you had them on the top of the.
It used to be on the top.
Yeah, and I think putting them on the boss just frees it up a lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more screen. Oh, and a description of what everything does. I think that's also very handy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was that power up or whatever that was?
So that was chasing rainbows, and that just gives you a pretty big speed boost for a couple seconds.
So those just drop every few seconds, do they?
If you see in the bottom left,
Mm.
there's that meter. When you collect these little coins, it's meant to fill up, and then once you've got 10 of them, it'll spawn a pickup.
Oh, okay. Oh, and are those the little coins there,
So,
the
yeah,
like
those little-
water droplet type
Yes.
thing? Yeah.
You need to go collect those.
So what was the one they just collected?
So that's it's raining cats and dogs, and
Oh, yeah.
We can talk a
Um,
little bit more about that.
yes, cats and dogs
This
has had a
this is a pickup over here as well. where my
Yeah.
cat
Oh,
goes.
so it's had a new one. Yeah.
look at that.
Summon 5 rotating barriers around the player that have 30 health. Okay. So are these all some of the new power ups
Yeah,
that
a
you're with?
couple new ones.
Yeah.
I like this one. Yeah.
Okay. I genuinely just the change in these last 2 weeks, you have made it infinitely easier for me and any other player to
To
understand.
understand, that's good to hear.
'Cause before it would be like, hey, what's that? What's that? Wait, what have you just done there? And suddenly you'd win. I can
Yeah.
read that and you wouldn't be next to me and I'd still understand like exactly what's
That's
happening.
good. That's good.
That's great, yeah.
Definitely our biggest issue in the before this post-production sprint was UI problems. So glad to
Yeah,
see
no,
that.
definitely. Yeah, because it does fall back to what I've said before. You guys will sat around the game and lived
Yeah,
this game for so
exactly.
long, you know. Someone like myself might not. Yeah. But no, genuinely, just the progress you guys have made in just 2 weeks, it looks so much more polished now. And so much more like an actual game rather than just like a build. Oh, so what's that bar across the screen?
So that's one of the boss attacks.
They're just sort of like a zone of
So
death.
yeah, basically. Keep out.
Yeah. Oh, have you swapped now as well? Okay. So are the controls then not necessarily as complex for the smaller player? I think it's
Yeah. The smaller player, there's only shoot, use your second move, and dodge.
yeah, so they don't necessarily need to have
So
the...
you don't need quite as detailed.
Yeah, they don't need the UI around them to have all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bottom left has what you've currently got, like equipped.
Oh,
But we didn't worry too much about actual controls, just because.
yeah, I
it's
suppose
fairly
if,
easy
yeah,
to
if you
pick
also
up.
tell them at the start of the match, they can pick it up quite easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. That's
Clean win
primary.
box.
Yeah. If you guys want to come join me back down here, then
We can talk about.
we will. Yeah, we can talk about some of those new pair ups you've made. Oh, there we go. Do you have them on like a list somewhere?
But I had it open. Yeah. Right here. We have this, which we hinted at in the very first development diary.
Well, no, it's great. Exactly, that's great to see. You know, you can watch that first and say, "Hey, we might have this,"
Yeah.
and now all this time later, you finally do. Is that good to show?
Yeah.
The put on on that one.
Do I move it over?
Oh yeah, move it over to the other one, and then we
Good
can
God.
cut to that scene now. We should be able to. There we go. Okay. So this is all of your abilities and power ups in the game.
Yes.
This was us brainstorming.
Okay, so run me through what all the different columns mean.
Okay. This is a spreadsheet full of weather puns and idioms. And then we categorize them based on something we thought they could do, how much we liked them, and then like a description of what they would do.
Okay,
And
that
then like
makes
two
sense.
different ideas for each one. This has changed from this was like one of the first things that we made because it was during brainstorming, so it's not fully indicative of what made it in. But yeah, there's I think over
There's
Wow.
quite a lot.
there's
Yeah.
73 different weather puns and idioms.
Okay,
And it's been a really nice constraint to work around, actually.
definitely, yeah. It gives you a sort of, you could say, what possible, endless possibilities. It sort of helps you sort of narrow that down and fit into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the process then from getting that and saying, okay, we could make it like this. Oh, I like it like that, and then actually saying, yes, this is one that we're going for.
So the first one, the one that actually really kicked this off, was raining cats and dogs. So we'll do that. So the initial idea was that was a timed power up where you would get a buff to a high fire. One of them was a high fire rate, medium damage weapon. And then we brainstormed that a little bit more, and that went into a design document, which I think we have. Maybe.
It's fine if we don't. We can move
It
on.
went into a design document,
Yeah.
and then it went into building it, in Engine. And then after some playtesting, we realized that it was way too obnoxious the way it was, so we toned it back and did a redesign.
Yes.
Basically, the audio effect would play every single time, and it was a really annoying meow or bark.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And then, so we switched it
Yeah.
to
So
yeah.
So what's the sort of process then of coming up with? One of you just go, oh, I had an idea for a pun. Hey, let's make. Or do you sit down and go, okay,
So-
let's make power ups?
Genuinely.
This is a spreadsheet that I made to compile all of the puns. So here, basically, if we think of a pun, I'll stick it in this part of the spreadsheet down here,
Mhm.
and this copies to every single one of these down at the bottom. and then we've mostly been using this one, but we will come in here and then give some ideas on what we can do. I think you did some, yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll brainstorm ideas of what we can do with the idioms.
So yeah, this was made quite a long time ago,
Yeah.
and then we basically sat down and thought, here's all the different things these puns could be.
Yeah. And now, well, it's great to see you've done that, and now it's actually
Yeah.
in the game. It's a real thing.
Good,
Yeah.
a good chunk of
Yeah,
them.
and then I think we compiled them into here to like really narrow them down.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Um,
Okay.
So yeah, it's up there. You've got the different columns have different sort of parameters.
Yeah.
And that way you can have properly differentiated power-ups.
Yeah, it'll be a bit boring if say a lot of the power-ups did the same thing.
Yeah. So
But
one
they
of
just had a
the-
slightly different name and image.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things we sort of looked for when picking which power up to go with was how similar are the other power ups we already have. So we tried to make sure that they're all pretty different from each other. They've all got USPs in a way.
No, yeah, you can tell you've definitely put a lot of like variety and replayability
Yeah.
into everything here. Yeah. Okay.
I think we got most of these actually.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so you're on track to get a lot of the ones like you want to get in the
Yeah.
game. Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, there we go. So that's I think that about wraps up our time for this. But yeah, once again, just literally seeing your game this week from how it was 2 weeks ago, it looks actually a lot more polished and a lot more like a proper game.
Yes.
And I think when you leave, I might actually just sit down and play a bit myself. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you.
Have a good time off. Good luck with trying to actually
yeah.
get work done over Easter.
Bit of work
That's
over
not
Easter.
happening. That's not happening. But sit tight, and we will be back in a few moments with our next team.